Morning, thank you for joining me this morning, and we're going to make a donkey peeking over the wall. But you can use this technique of making the wall to make wee thatched cottages. You could make a wee sheep peeping over the wall. You can modify these techniques to do different things. So first of all, we're going to cut out the donkey's head, and I will have given you a template. And the template, the donkey's head, is here. So we're going to cut a slice of clay about 2 centimetres thick. That's a wee bit too thick. If your clay is too thick, you just get a rolling pin and roll it out. You roll it out by putting a cloth above and below, and then just give it a roll out. Roll from the centre, right. The advantage of doing this as well is if you roll it out between a cloth, the cloth absorbs some of the dampness from the clay, so that just makes the clay a little bit easier to work with. So, yep, 2 centimetres, brilliant. So we have our clay rolled out to 2 centimetres. What we also have, and actually why I was slightly late starting this video, which I apologise for, I'm sorry. My studio's on the top floor, and there's 3 flights of stairs down to the back door, and the coaster was outside in the shed, and I didn't realise that until I was about to begin. These coasters you can get if you live locally to Ards and North Down, Northern Ireland. You can get these coasters from B&M's. I think they're $2.99 for a pack of 4, or I posted a link to Amazon. They're just a wee square coaster, but they're nice because they're slate, and the slate works well with the stone wall. So put a coaster aside, and we get our template and put it down on top of our clay, which we've rolled out, and then just get the back of a paintbrush. So the back of a paintbrush, something that's not too sharp. The pencil isn't ideal because the pencil will tend to go right through, and then just trace round the shape of your template onto the clay. And just mark where the eye is and where the nose is. And get your template off. One of the things I'd also recommend is when you're printing out your template, I would print it out onto, if you can get A4 tracing paper. The advantage of that is you can print it out once, but you can use both sides of it. And the other advantage is tracing paper is a lot more durable. So you can put a lot more pressure on to draw around the shapes without going through the paper with tracing paper. So if you can get an A4 block of, I know everything is hard to get at the minute, but if you get A4 tracing paper, a block of it, it's much easier for drawing out these centres. So then we just get, you can do it with a sharp knife. I prefer to cut out with a needle tool. If you've got a kit off me, you will have a needle tool. So keeping your needle quite square. Just cut it down now. And then cut that, to take the thing that you cut out, your donkey head out, here you cut and move the clay away from the donkey head rather than trying to poke it out. Okay, and that's our wee donkey head. So we can put the rest of the clay aside. We're going to use that for making the wall. But first of all, we'll work on the wee donkey head. You can just, instead of working on a board, you can just work directly onto your wee square slate. I would position the wee donkey head, you see in the corner, in this corner here, and then just press it down onto the coaster. And we're going to start, if you put your fingers underneath the wee donkey's chin, or underneath its cheeks, Just support the wee head. Just gently press the whole way up. Up and down with slow, gentle presses. Don't try to do it all in the one go. Just sweep up and down with wee small presses, and this is going to create the mane. And then when you feel you have it thin enough, you can just pinch off wee bits to make it more irregular, more like a natural mane. And then once you've done on one side, then check at the other side. Oh, look, there's a big hole there. Well, don't panic about that. What we do is we just get a wee bit of water, or if you've made up some slip, we just fill a wee hole in. A bit of clay. And you press it in, you see water squidging out of there. Because we're going to take a lot away there too. So we've turned around, we're going to put our wee fingers underneath the cheek to support it, and just do the same on this side. And by turning it around and doing it both sides, you're going to get your mane nice and even in the middle. And when you have that done, you can hold the top of it and just give a wee gentle pinch, or even just stroke underneath the neck. What you're doing there is you're just taking the square edge and softening it. And then you can do that with the mane there, just give it a wee stroke down the mane. And then the other side too. Right, now we'll move on to the head. So using your template has given you where to put the hole for the eye. If you have if you have tracing paper, you can just put it the other side and mark it up with the wee hole for the eye. Or what you can do is you can print it out twice, flip it if you've printer skills. So what I am just going to check is, so from the eye, if I draw a wee line straight across from the middle of the eye, straight across, oh look, that eye is far too low down. That's why you always start with a small hole, so that you can make it a bit bigger. So I'm going to lift this hole up so that the centre of it is in that line. So we know the eye is in the same place on both sides. And we do the same with the nose. We've got the nostril there. We'll draw a wee line across. And then we know that the nose is in the same place. So we are next. I'm just smoothing that in. So next on your template, you will have a wee triangle shape like that. If you cut out 2 of those, but we need the clay to be a bit thinner. We use 2 centimeters thick clay for cutting out the bulk of the head. If we roll it out until it's a nice wee thin, you can just cut a wee bit off of it. So you take a wee section like this. We're going to get all our wee sections out of this. So let's see, just move that out of the way. So I'll just put this wee piece of clay here in between the cloth. And because it's quite dark, I'll give it a few wee taps, flatten it out. And turn it over. So I've rolled it out till it's about that thickness. So it's fairly thin. And then we can cut out 2 triangle shapes and 2 of those D shapes. And what I tend to do is I tend to just cut one out and then use it as the template for cutting the second one out. And then I know I have them both the same. So you want want to be able to lift the clay away from part you're coming up. So that's one wee cheek. I'll put that cheek down and just draw a line. These wee triangles are going to be the bits that fit above the eye. And if you save this, put it aside, we'll cut the ears out of that as well. Okay. So if you're using air drying clay, you can simply use water to join it, but I'm going to fire this wee one. So I am just going to use a wee bit of slip. So cross hatch, now you don't have to go out like that, that's absolutely fine. You shouldn't actually use things you don't have. Just a wee bit of cross hatch there. So when you're figuring out where to put this, there should be lines on your template. But if you think of where you've drawn your wee eye, you see, you can see this very well. Sorry. If you can see where you put your eye will be about the centre of this cheek. And just gently squeeze that on. And just squeeze it on a wee bit more at the top. And just do one wee press there. And then we'll do the same with the other side. So I'll just do a wee bit of cross hatching. And I was wondering, oh, and then the other, wee bit of slip on. And then just a wee triangle. Triangle above the head, just like that. And then you blend it in at the top, blend it in the sides. And stroke it down in the middle. And we'll just do the same on the other side. Now then we'll go to the front and make sure they are symmetrical, which means the same on both sides. And we just stroke from the eyes in. I think I should a little bit more clay. If you feel, when I look at that, I go, oh, that's quite a lovely big eyebrow, but that's a bit thin. So I'll just add a wee bit extra on this side. That can sometimes happen when you're rolling out your clay. It's not exactly the same thickness. That's better. And at this stage I want to try and straighten that nose. So I'll just run my finger down the nose and just straighten that. Now, we're not going to make eyeballs and put them in, we're just going to create a wee hole for the donkey's eye. Okay, we can come back to that and tidy that up later. It's just a wee bit squishy. A paintbrush is really handy for tidying up those wee edges. Okay, and then at this stage I would, once you've thinned this nose down and made sure it's nice and straight, I would get your wee template, because what happens when you're working at this, you end up stretching the wee nose down a wee bit. So that's fine. So you can just put the template over and measure down. What I would do is, if we hold the template for the eye, line up the eye, and then measure where the nose ends. So I know this needs to come off. I'll just make that a little bit smaller. And then we'll just give a wee press underneath, just to create a wee bit of a chin. Okay. Brush. So now we put in a wee hole for a nose. And put in a longer slit like that. And then we'll just mark a wee mouth. Then you want the nose to come in slightly. And what I'm also doing is, see the wee chin there? See if you give it a wee bit of a pinch underneath the chin. Don't get too much chin there. So if the chin seems a wee bit big, you can just trim a wee bit off. Okay. And just tidy those edges up with the paintbrush. And just what I'm doing here is just soften that from being a corner into a curve. So just soften that from a corner into a curve. Okay. So then we're going to cut out the ears. These thin pieces of clay. And have your template over the top. And cut out the ears. When you're making these at home, try to take at least twice as long as I'm taking. I'm rushing through these slightly to give you all the information that hopefully you'll rewatch and pause and rewatch and pause and do it step by step. It would be very unrealistic for you to try and work along at the same pace. It would only discourage you. Do it slowly, step by step. So I've cut my wee ear out. I get a pencil and I wrap the ear around the pencil. And then take the pencil away. And with the wee donkey's ears, I just want it to be wee tip, put it up slightly at the tip. And then you cut two of these the same. So I'll just do another. That's right. I'm just going to punch a wee bit in there. And then I'm just going to wrap around the pencil. Now you can put a wee bit more detail into the ears by just flicking out from the centre out. And just click. And then do a few fixes. So then what I would do is, if you think of the back of the ear, this straight edge, put them side by side and measure them. And I find it's just easier with a pair of scissors to cut them to exactly the same size. And then we'll put them on. So where do your ears go? If you follow this line, see the D that you put on? If you imagine that running on, and this edge of the D running on. So you can see that's created like a V shape there. You put your ear on there. Okay. And another good wee tip is, if you have any cocktail sticks or matches, they're really good for holding the ear in whatever position you want to attach them. So I'm actually going to attach this with the paintbrush. I put that in the hole of the ear. What do you see? So I'm putting that in there, and then I push the paintbrush here against the clay. It just means you don't squash the back of it here, the muzzle. And just blend that in. So paintbrush. And then just do the same on the other side. Follow that D of the jaw around, straight line of the jaw, and the ears will be attached here. So a wee bit of water or slip, and then and when you're making your ears, if they get thin and they look like they're actually, I don't cut that. I'm going to cut that off. If they look like they're cracking, put a wee bit of water on and smooth the crack out first before you apply it. So I'm putting my paintbrush down the centre. I'm using that paintbrush to push the clay to join it on. And then I'll put the paintbrush at the top and make sure those two ears are the same length. I'll just smooth that in. Turn on the paintbrush. And these ears aren't too floppy this morning, but say if they were all floppy, you can put a wee cocktail stick in and that'll just arrange your ears the way you want. So then we just take a tool, any sort of tool you have. It could even be a picnic knife or fork, or redisposable knife, and just create some texture in here. For their fur is a lot shaggier above their eyes there. We're almost doing this in almost like a diamond shape. And then you can look for your tools to create some texture on the back of or on the neck of the donkey. So if you've got an old stiff paintbrush, I'm going to use something like this even, and just a few wee taps just to make the fur look shaggy. When I'm making my wee donkeys, I add texture. The texture I add, there is a video on how to make that texture up. For donkeys, I would make a nice thick slip, and to that thick slip, I'd add, for donkeys, I would add some wood shavings, sawdust. And don't forget the ears. So I'm doing these wee taps in the direction that the fur would grow. But keep quite heavy, strong marks above the eyes. So this is a dry paintbrush, and every now and again, if you find you're getting too much clay on the end of it, just give it a wee clean off in a dry cloth. So remember to comment if you want to seal, or if you want a painting tutorial next Saturday morning. I'm happy to do either. Also let me know if you need a kit. Provide kits with air drying clay and a basic tool kit. Let me know if you need toolkit, or even if you just, what I'm going to do is in between the nostrils there, I'm just going to give that a wee bit of a pinch and bring that in. Okay, so we made a nice rough texture here for the area above the eyes. If we do the same for the mane, and you know, you don't want it too even, you don't want that to be a straight line, you want it to be nicely broken up. But you want it to be very clear where the neck ends and the mane starts. Okay, so you can, if you're doing this at home, you can spend longer just tidying up that wee face. Okay, I know you want it. The next thing we're going to move onto is the fun thing. You're going to have so much fun with this. Well, I have so much fun with this, hope you do too. Is making the wee wall. So, I'm just going to do it. It's always good idea to get into the habit of tidying up all the wee scraps that you end up trimming off. Tidy them to one side and let them dry, and that's what you can use your slip. You can use that to make your slip. So, to make the stone wall, actually I'm going to take the donkey head off. Because it's slate, it should come off quite easy, and I'm just going to set that to one side. So you just take a piece of clay. I'm going to make the wall cover, well no, my donkey's here, I'm going to make the wall cover that L shape. So you take a really rough bit, don't try to get it into a circle, just take it, and the rougher looking the better, and take it and just give it a squish down, and then take another bit. Do try to keep the bits different sizes, and like if you look at the surface of that, it's really rough and uneven, and then slightly overlap it and give it a squish down. So you can make wee stone houses with this. And then because look, there's just need a wee small one for in there. But see how roughly I'm just pinching it off. I'm not shaping it into balls or rectangles. Just keep it really rough and ever so slightly overlap it. Just watch your I made 2 small ones there, but I want them to be a good size. So again, look how I've just roughly taken a bit off and pushed it down, and I want all that roughness to stay there, and then I make a small one for there. And I deliberately, if I'm like for that last one, I could see that this was the roughest edge. I put that to the front. So that's your first row of wee bricks, if you like. So just dab a wee bit of water or slip over the top. Water if you're using air drying clay and you don't have any slip. Slip is ideal. It's much better to use slip, but if you don't have any slip, water will do. So for the next row, if you think of a red brick wall, how the bricks overlap. So do you see the way those 2 bricks meet, those 2 stones meet at the bottom, or meet there? So I want this one to overlap. So that's all there is to it. Remember to keep the kind of roughness, and you can, I'm going to put this one on, instead of putting this one on totally straight, I'm going to put it on slightly at an angle. Again, that just gives me a rougher surface. And then I'm going to do, because I had 2 small rocks there, I'm going to get a large one to go over the top. And if it looks like, the problem there was that this was going to, the end of this was going to be at the end of the same place, so actually I might just squash that a little bit more so it overlaps it. So this is nice and rough. So I would just do 2 rows of bricks, but you can see how much fun you would have making a wee stone cottage. You could make a wee stone cottage. If you were making a cottage like this, what I would do is cut a cardboard door and cut a cardboard window and use them. Say I was working along, I wanted the door here, put your cardboard in and work around the cardboard, and that means you can take the cardboard away. Cardboard will actually help give you a wee bit of strength and structure, and once you have the hole, use your cardboard to create a door. Roll it out much thinner, similar to what we made the ears and the cheeks from the donkey. roll a bit of clay out that, then use your cardboard as a template, and then you can make your wee door. Have your door, make your door separately and allow it to dry a little before you put it in, so that the clay is stiff when you're setting your door inside your wee cottage. And you could have so much fun with that. And you don't have to worry, I'm not going to worry, I don't think, about bringing it to here, because this is where the donkey's going to be looking over. So, if you want a wee bit extra texture, I wouldn't go with too much extra. You see the clay just being roughly handled like that, it is going to give you a nice rough finish. But if you were wanting to get it even rougher, if you had some scrunched up paper, so I'm just scrunching up a wee bit of paper, and I could just press that on a wee bit, just to give me, you know, just to even make the surface a bit rougher even than it already is. But less is more. Okay, and that's our wee wall. So all we have to do then is get our wee donkey back and lift his wee head. He's peeking over the wall. So there we go. We can just refine tune him really from there. I want to maybe make the wee nose a wee bit better. So I might add a wee sausage of clay around that. I actually think I want to add wee eyeballs to this wee donkey. So if you want to add an eyeball, just make your wee ball. Just check it. Yeah, chances are you'll make it too big. I always make it too big. I'm working at animals every day. So just keep playing with it until it's about the right size. And then with your cutting wire or a sharp knife, now kiddies, I don't recommend you take one of these in your hands, but get a parent to take a craft knife and just cut that wee ball exactly in half. And then that means that your two balls are the same. Or if you can make two balls exactly the same first, a wee bit of water. I'm just using that down paintbrush. And one thing I would say with the eye, I have added a wee eye in, but I want it to look a lot rougher above there. So I just soften that by bringing that texture down, kind of, so he's not peeking out underneath his fringe. Okay. And you could, depending on how much detail you want to put in, you could roll a wee thin sausage of clay to twirl your eyelid. Punch it up there. And use your brush. Just dip the paintbrush in a wee bit of water. Yeah, I think I like them better with eyes. Okay, so I will put an eye on the other side. And please post up your photographs if you're finished with donkeys. And do let me know if you want next week's tutorial to be on painting. Because there's, especially for these walls, there's a technique where you put a thin wash all over, and then you let that dry, and then you build up in 3 colours and stipple on, you know, the way you would see like lichens and moss. So you can stipple on to get a real old stone wall effect. So have fun with your donkeys and your stone walls, and if you decide to make a cottage, please send me a picture of that as well. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.